Film Fanatics. From the silver screen to your earphones with Alan Azulay and Gal Balaban.
For our season 2 finale, our main event is going to be our top 10 favorite movie directors of all time. And for our finale, there's no more fitting guest than the founder and CEO of the League of Cinephiles himself, Alex Helmer, here to help us with our list. How are you, Helmer?
I'm good. Hi, Gal. Hi, Alan. Nice to see you guys. Not like I just received this message 10 minutes ago. I was definitely planning this list for a long time.
Thank you so much for coming up on such short notice. We had a little bit of a situation with with the guest, but you're being a real G coming up here.
For sure, always.
Okay, so we oh God, my voice is also going to shit. Okay, so how about we start with that list? I'm thinking we could. I would go first, then Helmer, you can go second, and then Gal.
So we each go around 10 through 6, then when you get back to your turn, 5 through 2, and then number 1.
Exactly. That's how we usually do it here. So I guess I'll start with my number 10. It's a very new addition to this list because I only recently watched these movies.
I think I know who it is.
We had a full episode about it last week. Is my man Jordan Peele.
Nice work.
And I'm highlighting here Get Out and Us. Nope was really good, but so far for me, I'm still like on the Get Out hype, even though like it technically came out years ago. I just watched it recently, so for me,
I don't think the Get Out
new.
hype has died, technically.
But yeah, I love him. And I don't think, unless he really fucks up some of his next movies, maybe he'll stay here for a while. Let's see. My number 9 is one that maybe only I will have on my list as the show's Brazilian. I'm gonna have my favorite Brazilian director of all time, Fernando Meirelles.
Okay, as soon as you said Brazilian director, it has to be him or else I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I would think so. So I rewatched City of God this weekend, and it's one of the best movies of all time. I put it up again in my top 20. It's a fantastic movie, and if you live there and you know, I never lived in the favela, of course, but like I lived in Brazil, so I've known about all of the issues and all that. And the way that he portrays it is so real. And I don't know, it's just an incredible movie. And I finally got around to watching The Two Popes this weekend.
I think those are his only 2 that I've seen.
For the first time, and I was impressed, honestly, because that movie had the potential to bore me to sleep. And the fact that it didn't, and it was actually pretty interesting, yeah, that's on him. He's a great director. Number 8, I have James Mangold, and the 2 movies that I put in here are Ford v Ferrari, which is my favorite movie of his, for sure. And I, as the nerd that I am, I have to mention Logan.
That has to be a really close... Yeah, that's a hard pick between Ford vs Ferrari and Logan. But also...
I like Logan more.
Yeah, I guess. I've seen Ford vs Ferrari more times. I only ended up ever seeing Logan once. But I also really like Walk the Line.
Walk the Line's fantastic as well. Yeah, so he made it to my list. Gal knows how much I love him. Ford v Ferrari might be my favorite dad movie of all time. Number 7, Ryan Coogler. I have highlighted here Creed, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is on my top 20, which again might not be on everyone's top 20, I would guess. And I also highlighted Black Panther just again because I'm a nerd and because how important that movie was just for society in general.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, seems like he can do no wrong. I also want to mention he produced Judas and the Black Messiah, which was one of my favorite movies of like the last 2 or 3 years. And yeah, I mean, He also started out with Fruitvale Station, which was shot and took place in Oakland, which is near where I grew up, which is really cool.
Nice. Okay, so he's my number 7. Love the guy. Number 6, Gal would also not be very surprised that he's on here. Guillermo del Toro. So Guillermo del Toro is my number 6 because Shape of Water is one of the best movies I have ever watched. And oh god, we keep coming back to this. Fuck it. I'm still a nerd and I love Hellboy, and it's one of the most fun movies I have ever watched. And I watched it for the first time when I was a little kid, and I freaking loved it. And Hellboy 2 might be even better. And this is all because of Guillermo del Toro. And I'm so happy he finally won his Oscar for The Shape of Water.
2 of them.
Yes, 2 of them. Thank you. And yeah, I don't think he's one of those that I don't think is ever leaving my list. Even last year, we watched
Nightmare
Alley together, and even though that movie wasn't one of my favorites of his, still his style is undeniable.
Helmer, you loved Nightmare Alley, didn't you?
I really loved it. Pan's Labyrinth is still my favorite, but I love, and Kronos, which is also Guillermo. I think his directorial debut is really, really underappreciated in my opinion. I love him.
Yeah.
I have a confession to make. I haven't seen a single Hellboy movie.
Me either. Well, I've seen the new one, the 2019
Oh
one.
no!
I haven't seen the David Harbour one.
So
at
you
all.
have my god, guys, get on it. They're so good. Honestly, just think of like what a Guillermo del Toro comic book movie would be like, and that's exactly what it is like.
Yeah, I need to see it. It's on my list.
Yeah, I want to watch both of them because every time I saw the posters, I was like, this looks stupid. And then I heard everyone saying like, oh, the reboot is such a disgrace to Guillermo's amazing films. And I was like, oh, the originals are good? So I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, when the news came out that they were doing the reboot instead of giving Guillermo the third movie, I got very upset.
That must suck.
He deserved that. He deserves to finish that trilogy, and I hope he gets to do it eventually. Do I do 5 as well? No, right?
No. All right, so Helmer, are you going next?
Yeah, sure. So my 10 through 6, if you know me, I'm an old movie guy, so a lot of these are going to be the classic guys. Different from a lot of people's list, I think, but also guys who I've grown to love over time, especially recently as I've gotten to see more of their films. So number 12, I think, is, I guess most people
Wait,
know,
12 or 10?
He's, I guess, the most unknown on my list. Joseph L. Mankiewicz, who, I guess, for reference, he's Herman Mankiewicz's, I believe, his brother. Herman Mankiewicz was who Gary Oldman portrayed in Mank, who wrote Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Wait, so does
Joseph
Tom
Mankiewicz-
Pelfrey play him in the movie, or is that a different brother?
Sorry?
Does Tom Pelfrey play him in Mank, or is that a different brother of Mank's?
I believe so. Yeah, Tom Pelfrey.
Yeah, I
doesn't
think
play
it's
Orson
him.
Welles, right?
Yeah, I think it's him.
So, but yeah, so the 2 movies from him. Number 1 is Sleuth, a 1972 movie, which I actually got on DVD because it's not available anywhere else besides physical media. It's Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier. And it's basically just a 2-person film the entire time, set in one house. It's kind of a murder mystery thriller type thing. Excuse me. And yeah, it's an amazing film. It's his last film, actually, one of my favorite kind of last films from a director ever. And then he also directed All About Eve, which is one of the best classic movies of all time, one of the best Best Picture wins of all time.
I got so close to finally watching it recently, and I still haven't gotten to it.
It's amazing. And he's a great actor-director. All of his movies have some of the best performances you'll ever see. And yeah, just if you haven't seen any of his movies, go definitely look them up. He's a great director. And then number 9, Sergio Leone, who's my...
It's a good choice.
Yes, he's my favorite, I guess, foreign director. He still makes, obviously, kind of Western movies, but with kind of a nice Italian flair to them. Once Upon a Time in the West is in my top 10 movies of all time, which is shocking considering the first time I watched it, I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Wait, we have a debate over this, right? You prefer West over Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, right?
So honestly, although I'm a Leone fan, I actually prefer For a Few Dollars More over Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
I strongly disagree with that.
Yeah, I think David of Ultimate Movie Account, which you guys might know, he's like the only other person on earth who agrees with me.
Wait, really? Damn, Dave. Damn, dude.
And yeah, for a few dollars more, also is also amazing. His techniques, just the way he builds tension in the shot that he uses, the close-ups and everything, the wide shots. He's a very atmospheric director, and I feel like he's the type of director where even if you don't like westerns, which a lot of people don't, you'll love Leone films.
Guilty as charged.
I would go
Once
for
Upon a
me.
Time in America as well.
Yeah, I would go his best are Once Upon a Time in America and Good, the Bad, and the Ugly for me.
No, but yeah, I can agree with you that like the guy is a master. Like even though, like you said, even though like I don't like westerns that much,
Yeah.
I like
No,
give me a
no,
Sergio
yeah.
Leone movie, I'm fine.
Yeah. And then my number 7 is back to
Wait, are we at
modern
8 or
age.
are we at 8 or
David
7?
Fincher. David Fincher. I have a feeling he might appear on your guys' list, so this is kind of a precursor to that. But I love David Fincher. He's one of the best directors. I guess he's my favorite director who's consistently working today, not like some other people who I might have on my list as well, who are kind of guys who aren't as working as much. David Fincher consistently puts out great products. He puts out different products. Curious Case of Benjamin Button is so different compared to like Seven or Fight Club or Social Network. They all have different elements that make them unique and make them stand out. They all have amazing performances. And he always puts out movies that are able to be a combination of entertaining and thrilling, and they also have something to say, right? So he's able to please everyone with his movies, which is very rare for a director. And he's one of the directors where, when he comes out with a new movie, I'm always looking forward to, we already have the Killer, I think it's called, with Michael Fassbender, circled on our calendars, and we don't even know when it's coming out yet. So
yeah, I'm gonna refrain to talking about him for now.
Wait, hold on, Helmer. Was that your
why.
third? Was that your number 8 or 7?
7.
Oh, because I thought you had only said. Wait, who was it? Joseph Mankiewicz, Sergio, and then who else?
Oh, damn it! I missed one. Yeah, he's my 7. Sorry, I forgot my 8.
Okay, say 8.
My 8 is Billy Wilder, who's another classic
Makes
director, one of the best directors of all time. I talked about the versatility with Fincher. Same thing goes for Wilder, where his comedies are very different from his thrillers. Sunset Boulevard is very different from Some Like It Hot. He's I think he's the best film noir director of all time. Ace in the Hole with Kirk Douglas is amazing. But also he has movies like Sabrina with Audrey Hepburn, which is an amazing rom-com. It's in my top 100 of all time. Double Indemnity is great.
The Apartment,
obviously, Best Picture winner. And then he'll even have smaller movies like The Lost Weekend, Love in the Afternoon, which I saw recently, and Stalag 17, which are smaller, not as great as these other ones, but still show a lot from him as a director. So, yeah, he's my 8. And then my last one for now, my 6, is going to be Sidney Lumet, who's a guy I really, really respect because he directed movies through, 6 decades, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and the 2000s.
It's insane.
Somebody who's been around for such a long time, and it's crazy that we lost him like 15 years ago, and we're still talking about his movies today. 12 Angry Men is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is, actually no, I actually redid my top 100 of all time, and it is my number 1 of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I redid my top 100 like a week or two ago, and I was I consistently think about that movie. It's amazing all around. He also made his last film of all time, or his last film before he died, Before the Devil Knows We're Dead, with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Ethan Hawke, is really good. I don't know, Gulls.
I've never seen
that one yet.
I've never seen it. Is it good?
It's very good. Ethan Hawke's in it. Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's kind of a heist film. It's very, very good.
Yeah, anything with Philip Seymour Hoffman, sign me up. He always steals the screen. But
and then Dog Day Afternoon, which I know Gall loves.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
And also Serpico. He did Serpico, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I like Serpico a lot, but Dog Day Afternoon is.
I think also.
And 12 Angry Men take place in one location, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think. Also, Dog Day Afternoon just resonated with me because of Pacino's amazing work. Also, he's great in Serpico. But did you mention Network, by the way?
Network I really like as well. I need to rewatch Network because I haven't seen it in a long time. And then also shout out to a movie called Death Trap, which is another one location film, his third that I mentioned, with Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve, which is actually my favorite Christopher Reeve film performance, which is kind of a hot take, obviously. But yeah, he's amazing.
I think also like you said that your favorite movies all take place in one location, and I feel like that requires such a mastery as a director
Yeah,
to make that
for
work.
sure.
Like, and the fact that his best movies are like that, it just
Hmm.
proves your point, like of how how much of a fantastic director he actually is.
Completely agree.
Was, unfortunately. Um,
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's my 10 through 6.
all right, 1 second. Okay, so my top 10 again. It's like if we had objective versus subjective, this would be different, but I'm going subjective. My number 10, I think I'll be the only person to have him on the list, but it is Wes Anderson.
mm,
Hmm.
I think Helmer, you really like him, right?
No, I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen all of his movies except Bottle Rocket, which was his first one, but he's really unique. I feel like his movies are very much an event, and it's weird how much his style actually, I think, like has resonated with a lot of people. I've seen the Grand Budapest Hotel 3 times. Moonrise Kingdom is one of my favorites of the last couple of years. Now that I've seen 4 or 5 times even. I Love Dogs, The French Dispatch, Royal Tenenbaums. I'll even defend The Life Aquatic with Bill Murray. Not everyone likes that. So his 2 movies that I'll highlight are obviously Moonrise Kingdom and The Grand Budapest Hotel.
yeah, I guess Budapest is his most famous movie, right? Probably.
He won 4 Oscars also and
Yeah,
did hella good at the box office.
I think he might be his most successful movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Great choice.
All right.
He was in my honorable mentions.
My number 9, again, is subjective, but at the place that he is in Hollywood now, I decided to put him here, and it's Damien Chazelle.
Hmm.
Like, if we're just talking about favorites, he is such an exciting filmmaker. The passion he has for film history, for the cinematic theater experience, whether it's a space movie or the way he incorporates music into his films. So I love First Man, but of course, Whiplash and La La Land go back and forth for his best movie, in my opinion.
La La Land. Sorry.
I will say, oh, well, I like Whiplash more, but I love them both.
No,
There's
but
no wrong answer.
that's fair. Like Whiplash comes so close to me, but
Yeah.
La La Land has, I don't know why, has such a special place in
Me
my
too.
heart.
We've talked about this.
Like we've talked about it multiple times on the show already, but like it caught me at like the right time, and like also just because of my love of movies itself, and like the behind the scenes stuff, and like I don't know, the themes of that movie really resonate with me.
Do you guys still listen to the soundtrack?
Of course.
Of course, yes, that's the right answer. Not yes, but of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
I will say also, he was on my honorable mentions. He will probably get into my top 5 because what is he? Is he still in his like 30s
He's
or
30
early 40s?
37, 38, something like that.
Yeah,
That's so young.
he's the youngest director to ever win an Oscar.
Yeah, two of arguably like some of the best movies of all time. Certainly of our kind of generation. So
Yeah.
I mean, he could be easily top 5 by the end of his career.
I was battling with myself with putting him here, but he actually made it like number 11. Like he was so
Nice.
close.
Yeah, I'm really ashamed of who's at my number 11 because he was on there until like yesterday. Number 8, he's also a very recent filmmaker, but he has a little more of a gained fan base, and that's Edgar Wright.
Oh yeah, he almost
love
made
the
it.
man.
My
This guy's a
11.
legend. My 2 favorite movies of his are Hot Fuzz and Baby Driver, which
Okay,
is
thank God.
one of my favorite movies, period.
Yeah, Baby Driver is fantastic. And fun fact, Gal actually shot a short for one of our classes, like last year, I think it was, where he played. Did you play Kevin Spacey,
I
or
was
did
playing-
you play Baby Driver?
I was
Oh,
playing the
boy,
Kevin
I hope it's
Spacey, and our
good.
friend Yarden, who's been on the podcast for our favorite actors, he was Baby, and so we were doing like the scene where it's like, oh, was he listening? Did he have the earbuds in? We did like a recreation of that.
It was so good. It was like it was like this exercise to see if we knew like how to do framing and all that. And like it was easily the best one in the class, and I was so jealous.
We had fun doing that.
Oh, you're not sarcastic? I thought you were being sarcastic for the longest time.
No,
It's actually really
I'm
bad.
promising you. Like it was, yeah, of course it was like cheesy and all that, like, but it was like
Oh.
when it comes to like the actual exercise, it was easily the best one.
I'll gladly take the praise. Number 7, again, a very recent guy, but I mean, considering the effort he's had in modern cinema, Denis Villeneuve is my number 7. The man does not miss. I've yet to see his older, like, French language movies, but everything in English that he's made I've seen. Prisoners is obviously phenomenal. So I guess my favorites of his would be Blade Runner and Arrival. Dune, I hate to put it out there. I hate to have it miss the top 2 there, but I mean, all of his movies are amazing. But Arrival is honestly one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. I know it's not everyone's favorite of his, but I absolutely love it. I think it's a masterpiece.
Again, I'll refrain to talking about this guy
I
right
thought you
now.
would say that.
Don't like it that much. Don't like him at all. No,
Okay.
it's of course a joke. He's coming up.
I know. I got that one, Alan. I got
Great.
that joke.
That's your number 7.
That was my 7. Number 6 is not one director, but 2. Joel and Ethan Coen.
Good choice.
Love these guys. They're very versatile, very amazing, fantastic. Top 2, No Country for Old Men, which I think is an amazing exercise in thriller and noir, neo-western sort of filmmaking. And, of course, Fargo. But there's so many of theirs that you could shout out and go on about.
Yeah, they also made my honorable mentions.
Okay, Helmer, what's your favorite of theirs?
Of who?
Of the Coen brothers.
Oh, I'm a Fargo guy. If Fargo is a movie where every time I see it, I bump it up like a rating
yeah.
because it is so damn rewatchable. I'll just like pop it on. It'll be on cable. I'll just pop it on, 40 minutes in and just watch from there.
And I think it's so brilliant how
good.
like
And I've seen the Fargo show as well. And
I've seen it, but
I
not
think
the 4th season yet. I need to see the one with Chris Rock.
No, specifically the first season. And that gave
Oh.
me like a deeper appreciation of what the original did because
Yeah.
it's a masterpiece and it's so unique.
Is the show also good?
Style is,
The show is great. I've seen the
Very
first
good.
3 seasons.
Nice.
yeah.
Ewan McGregor was fantastic in season 3, by the way.
That's what I heard. Did he win anything?
He won
No.
a Golden Globe
won?
and he was nominated for the
Okay,
Emmy.
got it.
And yeah, I love how in Fargo you don't even meet the main character until 30 minutes in, and she still won the Oscar for Best
Yeah,
Actress,
true.
Frances McDormand, and they won Best Original Screenplay, and then 3 more wins for No Country.
Yeah, they're winning directors for sure.
So let's go to Alan's 5 through 2. Let's hear it.
Okay, so my number 5 has been mentioned already, by Helmer, and it is David Fincher. Gal has had to listen to me rave about The Social Network for years at this point. It is my favorite movie of all time. I love that movie so much. I think I've watched it maybe 20 times. I put it on if I'm sick.
I've always been meaning to rewatch it.
I put it on every time that I get a chance. Like if I'm unless I want to watch a different movie, of course. But like if I'm sick, it's my comfort movie. Like if I'm I don't know hungover, sometimes I put it on. It just makes me feel better. I really love that movie.
Makes you lawyer up, asshole.
Yes, and my Pradas are not at the cleaner right now. But my second favorite of his, because people already know how much I love The Social Network, is Zodiac. I
Okay.
love Zodiac so much. And yeah, that's my number 5. My number 4, it's probably gonna show up in both of your lists, maybe. Martin Scorsese. Is it not?
No, I'm
I guess you'll have
trying
to
to.
see.
I'm not saying anything right now. Okay.
Okay.
I'm being
okay,
quiet.
Okay. I'll withdraw my statement. So I love Martin. I love probably every movie he's ever done that I ever watched. I don't know if I've watched his whole filmography, but I probably watched most of it.
I
And
think Helmer and I have seen a good amount.
and I love his style. I love the stories he chooses to tell. And perhaps my two favorite ones are definitely not everyone's two favorite ones, now that I think about it. My favorite one of his is The Wolf of Wall Street. Again, one of those movies that I rewatched so many times. Caught me like at the right age, like I saw it in the movie theater with like one of my best friends at the time, and we wouldn't stop talking about it for like 2 months. Uh, like we used to go to school together, and like instead of paying attention to class, we were just talking about The Wolf of Wall Street. Uh, and my second favorite of his is Shutter Island.
I thought you were gonna say that. That's a
Oh,
good choice.
whoa.
Yeah,
That's a unique choice, but I support it.
yeah, I love that movie so much. Also, one that I saw when I was really young, and really caught me off guard. Like I saw it at a sleepover at a friend's house, like very randomly, um, and it scarred me when I was a kid. But like since then, like rewatching and like re-understanding the twist and the turns, and yeah, it's a goddamn masterpiece.
It's one
I
of my
love
favorite
that
twists
movie.
of all time.
It is definitely one of my favorite twists of all time. My number three has also been mentioned already. Is Mr. Denis Villeneuve. I, again, I know we've been hitting a wall here with how much I love these guys, but it's just the truth. My Gal already said loads about him. I'm not gonna bore you guys. I have pretty much the same opinion as Gal on this one. Watched most of his English stuff, probably all of his English stuff, and not yet his French stuff, unfortunately.
Incendies is on my list.
Yeah, for sure. But my favorite movie of his is the one that made me fall in love with him, made me go back and rewatch, like no, not rewatch, but watch his filmography. Blade Runner 2049. That movie is a masterpiece, and I think it is the best looking movie I've ever watched. I think it has one of the best cinematographies ever put to film, and I will die on that hill. And my second one is Dune. Even though Gal didn't put it up there,
I
I
respect it. I respect
I
it.
put like for me I just changed it with Arrival. Like just swapped it. Because Dune was my favorite movie last year. And I love the book. I've been reading the book. And he did such a good adaptation. That book is so hard to adapt, and he did a masterful job at doing it. Yeah, that's why I love Danny. And my number two, and no surprise to Gal probably, he lives pretty close to us right now. He lives about
Oh, I know it.
40 minutes that way, or 30 minutes that way if you go by car.
Foot fetish man.
It's Mr. Food Fetish Man himself, Mr. Quentin Tarantino. Um, One of the guys responsible for making me love movies the way I love movies. Probably watched Pulp Fiction when I was way too young to watch Pulp Fiction. Still loved it. It wasn't my the first Tarantino movie I ever watched. The first one I ever watched was Inglourious Bastards, and that also sends it. Probably because like of my family history, also with like the Holocaust and all that. That movie hits home pretty hard, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So that would be my favorite movie of his. Very close second, and a modern classic in my opinion, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Pulp Fiction is right next to it, but right now it's Once Upon a Time. Again, my favorite movie the year it came out, I believe 2019. 2019. And yeah, there's not much else that I can say about this movie. I raved about it so much on our Quentin Tarantino episode. But it's just a masterclass in directing and talking about Hollywood and his messed up like pseudo history that I love so damn much. Okay, so now that you guys got my 5 through 2, I like the reactions I got. I saw some faces of like, oh, I'm not commenting right now, because I'm pretty sure that's coming up soon. So yeah, Helmer, what is your 5 through 2?
right, so my 5 through 2, I'm going to continue with kind of the old movie train and go with the king of classic cinema, Alfred Hitchcock. I think this is kind of I guess, a cliche pick for a lot of people. He's regarded as, one of the best of all time. And I think the biggest reason as to why that is because, the guy basically created an entire genre, which was basically frowned upon at the time when, stuff like murder and stuff like that couldn't be shown on screen or couldn't even be kind of referenced. And
How
so I
dare he.
think that's
It's so weird to
Yeah,
think that
I
he
think-
wasn't embraced back then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like literally one of the best movie makers of all time.
and even a toilet flushing on screen, he even did that. I mean, come on, this man has shown everything. And he's basically the king of tension, the king of thrillers. I feel like every kind of director that's come after him, when we talk about David Fincher, when we talk about Sidney Lumet, Christopher Nolan, who no one's mentioned yet, but some people might, people who make movies with a lot of tension in it, they gather a lot from Hitchcock. And my 2 favorites of him, my favorite is actually Rear Window is my favorite, which is a
Ooh,
film that
nice.
I think sums up everything that's so good about Hitchcock. It has the camera work, which is so inventive and cool and neat. It has the quick dialogue, the pacing is really great, and you also have a lot of the dark comedy, a lot of the banter, which I think is really underrated component of Hitchcock. So,
According to our
and then
sort
my-
of According to our League of Cinephile bubble, this is apparently an unpopular opinion, but my favorite of his is actually North by Northwest.
So I love North by Northwest. It's in my top 100. It's my 3rd favorite. My 2nd favorite. Oh no, it's my 2nd favorite. Never mind. So I'm right there with you.
Oh, okay.
I love North by Northwest.
I put North by
That movie
Northwest,
is-
then Psycho, then Vertigo.
North by Northwest. If you love James Bond, this is basically as good.
It's like the
as
original
top
James
tier
Bond.
It's the original one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is so good. The music is great. There's so many iconic scenes, and all of his movies look beautiful, especially in Technicolor. And North by Northwest looks beautiful, and there are countless ones that I haven't mentioned either. And I actually, fun fact, Hitchcock is the director I've seen the most movies from, actually.
That's cool.
And I'm
Nice.
looking forward to see more because I haven't seen all of them yet. And then my number 4 is a little guy named Steven Spielberg. In my top 5.
I would have been shocked
I
if he
see- I
wasn't
see
on your
the
list.
the smile Alan is trying to hide on his face.
No.
over there.
This one is more directed towards Gal.
Top 5. That's maybe you guys have him higher. I should hope so, at least. And Steven Spielberg, what can I say that hasn't already been said? And I just can't find anything unique to say right now. I will say him and my number 3 are very close, and I think it's really going to depend on these 2 directors' upcoming films, which is really going to decide who's going to be placed higher. And you'll realize that is when I talk about my 3. But The Fablemans is also coming out, which me and Gall actually got tickets for today at TIFF.
Nice.
Which
Yeah.
We're not mentioning that in that show because I'm getting sad and I'm getting FOMO, so we're not doing that anymore.
And
Cut to
spoilers,
Alan
he doesn't
crying in the corner.
And Spielberg is just absolutely amazing. The genre bending, the fact that he's not afraid to do a movie like Adventures of Tintin, which is an animated movie. None
I actually
of the other
love that
directors on my
movie.
list have done
a good
animation
movie.
before, which is insane that he did that. He can do horror with Jaws. He can do adventure like the Indiana Jones trilogy. Even his bad movies like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he kind of, there's redeemable elements in them, so they're not like complete absolute garbage.
Yeah, you can see it's a
And-
Spielberg movie.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly.
Same with like
They-
Jurassic Park 2, I think it was.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
2.
It's also
I
like,
haven't actually seen it. So.
it's not great.
I haven't seen it either.
It's not great. But it is definitely like a Spielberg movie. Like you get that flavor,
For sure.
but it does suck in the way that you're like, I know that you can do better than this.
No, and I think he knows as well, which is the great part. And Raiders of the Lost Ark is my number 1. It's a childhood favorite of mine. I saw it on the big screen actually for the first time a couple
Ah.
months ago, and I just felt like I was a
Wait,
kid
you saw it in
again.
like
It has such
4D,
a special
right, with the
place for
moving
me
seats?
in my childhood. And then my second favorite is Schindler's List, which is one of the most
Yeah.
another film I got to see in the theaters in Dolby, and it's one of the most powerful films ever made, one of the most perfect films ever made. It's basically a perfect movie. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and every element of it is so good. And yeah, it's also one of the best Picture winners ever.
Okay,
I think it's the best.
so before the hate on Alan starts, I love Spielberg so much.
Apparently not.
No.
He is my number 12. He was so close to being in my top 10. Um, I think it's because maybe I haven't rewatched some of his more classic movies in so
But
long.
it's Spielberg, yeah.
So maybe it's like in my head, like I'm like, you know, I'm like getting more of like his more recent work, which is not bad either. Because like for instance, last year he did one of my favorite movies of the year.
It was my
So,
favorite.
I think it was my third favorite of the year.
West Side Story.
West Side Story, yeah. So I don't know why he's not on my list. Like on my main list.
There's still room to change it. Still one spot left if you want to change it.
Look, my number one. I don't think I can change it, but Spielberg is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. This is just like one of those things that happen when you're making like favorites lists.
Yeah.
That sometimes like you just
You make mistakes.
You make
You make
mistakes.
mistakes, exactly.
You make mistakes. We had a list here one time that I put Leslie Mann on. So it happens, okay?
What was the list?
He put favorite actresses number 8 Leslie Mann, but then he said he would. I said Amy Adams, and he was like he would sub it.
I subbed Amy Adams
Mann.
5 minutes after. So yeah, I've been known for making mistakes like this on this show. So this is not the first time, and it won't be the last. But yeah, it's one of the. It's an Alan brain fire right
Okay, what's
there.
your number 3?
Classic Alan.
Classic Alan, exactly.
And then my number 3 is someone I kind of alluded to, Martin Scorsese, which he's coming out with Killers of the Flower Moon, so that and Fablemans. Again, mark my words, whatever movie is better, I'm going to put higher on this list. So I'm going to put the director higher on the list. And Martin Scorsese, you know, he's just, Alan mentioned him, he's just the king of the gangster genre. He's just the king of crime movies in general. I think his movies have some of the best performances of all time. Goodfellas, I believe it's, let me check real quick, but I believe Goodfellas is my favorite. Wolf of Wall Street is my second favorite. Both of those movies are so good. Martin Scorsese movies have style and flair that really encompass kind of the times that they were set in, which is really dope, really cool for a filmmaker to do that. The Irishman is great. After Hours, which is a very underrated.
I still have to
which
get
we
to
talked
that
about
one. I've always tried to.
I have
on my
also not
channel.
watched that one.
It's amazing. It's kind of the precursor to Uncut Gems, if you will. Like the Safdies took a lot of inspiration from that movie. It's a great indie movie, and he also just has a ton of appreciation for films that came before. Like Cape Fear is a remake of another film in that.
I love Cape Fear.
It's great. Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Really kind of smaller film, but very good as well. And even like honestly, look, this is how good the guy is. I've seen 16 of his movies, and Gangs of New York is number 15. That movie isn't even bad. It's
That's
actually
a pretty good movie.
Pretty
Yeah.
good movie,
But
yeah.
the fact that it's number 15 shows how good he really is.
What's your least favorite? Now I'm curious.
Probably Color of Money.
The only one I don't like Mean Streets. I think Mean Streets is pretty
Yeah,
bad.
I get
You
that.
prefer Color of Money than Mean Streets?
I really like Color of Money. Paul Newman's in it.
We really liked it too. We watched it for the first time for one of the episodes.
I think I'd also put Color of Money over Mean Streets.
But I just thought like the general opinion was that Color of Money was one of his list, like the least favorite
it's
one.
like in my bottom. It's at my 11, but I don't like. It's not one of my favorites. I still really like it though. But Mean Streets, that's the only one I didn't like. I was just like, that was the only Martin Scorsese movie where I thought the pacing was really slow.
It was
I
slow.
was really not feeling it.
I had that problem with The Irishman.
Yeah, but it's also Pacino's in it to really get you going.
Dude, Pacino was phenomenal in that movie.
I really love that movie, but I'll never forget having to watch that movie in 3 different days.
Yeah, I did the
Because
same thing, unfortunately.
Because I couldn't. I was like, even though it's a great movie, like it's one of the most taxing movie experiences I have ever had. But yeah, it's a great movie still, which again proves your point that he's a great filmmaker.
Exactly.
So who's your second?
So my number 2 is going to be my most controversial one on my list. It's the only one on my list where people go, "Oh wow, really?" And that's Woody Allen. So if you watch me for a long time, you know that I'm a huge Woody Allen fan. Obviously, putting the personal stuff aside, him strictly as a filmmaker. I got into him during the pandemic actually, which is when I got into a lot of these directors, but specifically Woody Allen. I think I got into a streak where I rated like 5 or 6 of his movies like a 9 out of 10. Like this,
Wow.
he is one of the most kind of like authentic directors and screenwriters of all time. He kind of directed and wrote rom-coms at a time where where rom-coms are so good, and he kind of capitalized on even that. And at a time right now where rom-coms are usually really bad, his are, you grow to appreciate them a lot more. I even watched a movie yesterday called She's Funny That Way, which is a Peter Bogdanovich 2014 movie, which is a Woody Allen wannabe. And it was so bad. I realized even more after. I'm like, wow.
To be fair,
Woody Allen
today's
really
like the
is-
recent Woody Allen movies became Woody Allen wannabe movies.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. I totally agree with you there, Gaul. But even like Midnight in Paris, which is made in I guess 2011, I believe.
I
Yeah.
love that
That
movie so
That's
much.
a great movie.
So good. Every time I watch it, I love it even more. It has a really powerful message about nostalgia. And
I think that's his last,
Blue
like,
Jasmine,
great
which is a
movie,
drama
though.
in
I think
2010s, is really
that
good.
is definitely my favorite movie of his.
Annie Hall, I rewatched it a couple weeks ago, and I still absolutely love Annie Hall. And again, Woody Allen's a filmmaker I really understand if people don't like, because his style and especially the personality of his characters can put off a lot of people. But for me, it really works because I kind of have a very similar sarcastic personality to a lot of his characters. And I really approach kind of a lot of the subjects that he approaches, like romance and love and kind of life, a similar way that his characters do.
Have you?
Hannah and Her Sisters is amazing. A lot of his movies, just the way he moves his camera around, a lot of long takes, they always feel really they always kind of bring you back and make you feel nostalgic.
Are you a fan of
he's
Match
definitely
Point?
my second favorite. Sorry?
Are you a fan of Match Point?
I have not seen Match Point yet.
Oh, really? I think it's one of his best by far.
I need to see it. It's definitely one, because I heard there's an amazing twist in it, and I really want to see
It's
it.
like super good, really good
Yeah.
thriller. It's very different from everything else he did. I haven't
Sure.
seen most of his older movies. I've seen Annie Hall, but not like Hannah and Her Sisters or Bullets Over Broadway or whatever.
I even Crimes and Misdemeanors, which is one of his best. It's not available anywhere, and it's another DVD I had to buy. And again, I'm a Blu-ray guy usually, and a lot of people like to give me crap because I watch DVD sometimes, but sometimes I have to if I want to see a movie.
You have to watch the movie then. All right.
I do have something to say about him.
Sure.
I haven't watched a movie of his since I watched A Rainy Day in New York,
I've
okay.
never seen that.
because that movie is not great.
It looked
I
bad.
have not seen it exactly for the reasons you described. I feel like if I watched it, I wouldn't like it.
It looks like like a parody of old Woody Allen movies. Like I
Yeah.
saw
It's kind of
Cafe
what
Society.
it's kind of what it is, and like I've watched it in like this weird art house movie theater here in Israel, like a very small one in a city called Beersheba. Gal probably knows where it is.
far.
Mhm.
It's far. It like in my first weekend after I moved here actually, and and my God, 2 hours of like sappiness that I will never recover from.
Right.
But yeah, I understand because of his classic movies.
Yeah.
So I'll go to my number 5. He's already been mentioned, and that's David Fincher. Love the guy. He was also your number 5. And my favorites of his, it really goes back and forth because I feel horrible leaving out Zodiac or Gone Girl or Social Network. But for now, I'm going with 7 and Benjamin Button. I know it's super unpopular.
I love Benjamin Button.
I love it too. I know some people would put it at the very bottom, but I think it's incredible.
It was actually the first movie of his I ever watched.
I saw it more recently, but I really was amazed by it. And then, so you looked at me earlier, weirdly, and it's because we have the same 5 and 4.
Really?
It's Marty.
Great.
Martin Scorsese is my number 4.
See, this is why we're podcast partners.
Great guy. Love his personality. Love his craft as a director. Someone who puts a production value into everything. Not really gonna have anything original to say, but again, I think we said this before about some of the other directors. His movies feel very different from each other. Like he can make a thriller, but also a biopic or a crime drama or a crime comedy drama. So I will say my favorites of his are Goodfellas and Taxi Driver, but I really want to shout out Hugo because of how underrated it is. And I do think it's his best movie that came out in the 2010s.
I still haven't watched it.
Fuck.
I'm sorry,
I've seen
Gal.
it like 5 times. Fucking love Hugo. I will defend that
It's
movie.
been on my list ever. Like Gal and I had a class called Visual Communication last semester, and we saw a bunch of scenes from that movie, and it really made me want to watch. And for some reason or another, I ended up not watching it. But
The thing is, it came at the right time. I watched it when it came out in theaters, and it was one of the first like non-family movies that I watched in the theater. It was like I was like 9 or 10, and I think I did a YouTube video ages ago about movies that influenced my taste, and I put it there because it talks about the beginning of cinema, because it's like both a mature movie, but you can show it to your kids, and yeah, that's why I'm shouting that out. But it's obviously not his best. It's just his most underappreciated, even though it was nominated for 11 Oscars and won 5.
wow.
So yeah, number three.
Yeah, Lex, you know.
Number 3 was also mentioned. Quentin Tarantino,
Yay.
great guy, really funny guy,
Actually,
really funny guy. Amazing filmmaker. I love how his movies are both really just amazing character works and story, but he kind of disregards all the story rules that a lot of filmmakers have been used to the last couple of decades, and he never takes himself that seriously in his scripts. And just the passion, like, even if you didn't understand or care for some of his movies, you gotta admit he directed the hell out of them. I'm gonna go, like, I know it's sad that neither me or Alan put Pulp Fiction, but I'm actually going his top 2, Inglourious Bastards, and then Kill Bill.
nice.
Ooh.
I will say something that I forgot to say in mine. Like, I love, like, and he's talked about this multiple times, how both Sergio Leone and how the French New Wave all like impacted him as a filmmaker when he was working at that video store and he just saw a bunch of movies.
It's insane because when you think about it, Kill Bill is basically a samurai western, or
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction is like based on the French or Italian crime films. But he still brings something new to the international film popularity.
No, for sure, for sure. That's what I meant. Like,
Even though he steals a lot.
He took all of that and he created like his own thing, which is one of my favorite things, and I'm guessing most like cinephiles' favorite things.
He's one of the rare people where if you go up to like anyone who doesn't know much about movies and you're like, movies, okay. Tarantino, oh yeah, I know that guy. Like they won't know David Fincher. Like unless you like movies, you should know David Fincher. Okay,
You should.
but
You really should.
yeah. All right,
But
number
people
2.
don't. I get it.
Number 2, my heart was broken earlier. Steven Spielberg.
I knew it. I thought it was gonna be your number 1 actually.
Yeah, I was really debating even while we were recording this. Steven Spielberg, he's the man. I think he's objectively maybe the best. Yeah, wow. There's nothing bad to say about him, nothing original. You can see how much he cares. I think that's one original thing. You can see always how much he cares. And there's always either this childlike wonder, even in his newer movies like Ready Player One or Tintin, there's always this adventurous wonder to them, but also with the more historical material, whether it's how much awareness he brought with Schindler's List to the Holocaust, or the stories with how the veterans were affected with the theater in Saving Private Ryan, or how much he put into Munich or The Post, or even with remaking West Side Story. You could see how much he brought, as in the racial violence or the racial tensions and the hatred, and how he connected that to real life. It's not his best movie, but it's certainly shows how much he cares about these real life stories. So if we're going best, I would say Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's are his most affecting, but favorites and the ones I've watched the most are Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones 1, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I'll say it again. I should have put him on my list.
Fernando Morales, maybe?
No, fuck you. Fernando Morales is a
Oh,
god.
I forgot about that one. That is absurd.
No, I
That
would.
needs to be our headline.
I would either put probably I would take Jordan Peele off just because I just put him there. So
Whoa,
probably,
this guy really likes Fernando Morales. Whoa.
bro, Fernando Morales. I have to stand by him, man. He's my own compatriot in my list. I have to stand by him until I have to appreciate. that there's a Brazilian being successful in Hollywood.
Are there any other Brazilian directors? Like, I feel like there has to be like one more that I know. Probably not.
There are, but like he's the only one that popped off like in Hollywood, like for sure. Like the other ones that I know
Yeah.
are like
I have no idea who these people
like
are.
José Padilha is like one of the most famous ones in Brazil, but he's only done movies in Brazil. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
don't know who
Arnaldo
these people
Jabor. Yeah, there's a couple, but like again, they're mostly famous in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's I think maybe the only one that broke out.
All right, let's hear number one.
Okay, so my number one, I'm not gonna beat around the bush too much here. Gal probably already knows who it is. Is the guy that directed my second favorite movie of all time,
Okay, good.
Mr. Christopher Nolan. I know that this might be maybe too modern of a choice for like basically the best director, but like we said, this is more of a favorites thing than technically best.
Okay,
Like-
I'm gonna say he's my number one too.
Great.
Let's go.
I love basically every movie he ever made. um, Inception is my second favorite movie of all time, and it is here as my favorite of his. And my second favorite of his is The Prestige. Again, I don't know if these are the choices that most people would go
I
for,
respect it though.
but The Prestige, I've watched it not that long ago, maybe a year or two ago, and the impact that that movie had on me, I don't even know how to explain. I was thinking about that movie kind of like in a similar manner as to like The Wolf of Wall Street. I was thinking about that movie for like months. It was crazy. And that doesn't happen to me anymore that much. So because I'm always watching movies, like something always comes up. But like that movie just stuck out to me, and the performances he gets out of his actors, the actors he chooses to work with, his direction, his storytelling, his writing. He's probably the reason why I want to be a filmmaker. So that's I think the best compliment I could give him as a filmmaker. He's the reason why I chose my life path. So
I'll
there you
elaborate
go.
because he's also my number one. I think objectively it would be Spielberg, but not objectively. It's like subjectively, if I'm just thinking like the definition of a director that you talk about, that is like the definition of someone who has made a name for himself. He cares only about the theatrical experience, which is kind of awesome, and he loves the spectacle. Yeah, I mean, I think Inception and Dark Knight found me at the right time. The same year I watched Interstellar in theaters. That movie changed my life.
Another goddamn masterpiece.
Dunkirk is on my top 5, I think, war movies. And yeah, not much to say. I even enjoy Tenet. I know some people were really let down by it, but on a rewatch, I honestly dug it.
I haven't rewatched it yet. It's the one movie of his that I was like, oh no.
But also,
every other film of his is like one of my favorites.
Also, of course, we have to say Dark Knight, but I do want to shout out Memento just because it's so goddamn good. And like the way he told the story in reverse chronological order, so good.
I also want to shout out like the fact that when he was still called, I think, Chris Nolan, I think that's what it says in the credits, he shot a movie for $6,000. He shot a full movie for $6,000. Was his first like feature length movie. It was called Following.
Yeah, I watched that on Netflix.
In 1998, and the fact that he got that movie out of $6,000,
Awesome.
Friends only $6,000, Friends, and most of this money went into like film stock.
He still shoots on film, which is crazy.
So like he
I
got
didn't
it.
know that.
He got it like out of Friends, working on it on weekends, because he was probably like doing a boring ass job during the week, so he had to do it in the weekends. his wife helped him, and like so it was a very like grassroots type of movie, and it is one of the most inspiring stories ever because he did that like out of nowhere in London after shooting like 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken, short films, and he took that movie to like every festival, and people got to know his name, and after
The
that
rest
came
is history.
after that came Memento, and the rest is history. It is Memento. It is right. The next one,
Next one was
Yeah.
Memento, 2001, I think.
2000. But
2000.
okay, so Helmer, you got to hear our number one choice, which I had no idea that was Gauss. I was wondering where Chris Nolan was, but I was
when
for sure.
Spielberg wasn't, I had an idea that it was. I'm like, okay, well, there only is like one logical choice for here. For
Exactly.
Him. No, yeah.
There's an argument
Nolan
for
was like
both.
in my. He was definitely my 15. Like I think when I was around like 12.
No, I can understand that for sure.
Yeah.
But like
Okay,
yeah,
this is honestly
yeah.
torturing me. Alex, who's your number
Yeah,
one?
who's your number one?
So my number one is, I think once you hear it, you'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So my number one is who I also consider the man to be the best director of all time, Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah,
Stanley
I figured
Kubrick is someone who I think I watched, the first movie I watched of his was 2001, and I watched that really, really early. And because of that, I didn't appreciate it as much as I could have. And I think over time, when I watched more and more of his movies, and I rewatched 2001, I grew to appreciate what he did as a director. I mean, all of his movies are very different. All of them have certain tones that are so strong, like The Shining, and all of them are very strong as well. Like that's the way I would describe them, is really, really kind of, you can get your hand, you can grasp it, and they all have a very strong sense of, style. Like The Shining is a very I guess it's a very stylistic horror movie, but not in the sense that you would think. It's not like an art piece. It's not like an auteur piece. It's kind of like a kind of casual horror movie done with Kubrick style, which I really appreciate. And then he'll go on and do a costume piece like Barry Lyndon, which is a slow movie, but at the same time, it's one of the most beautiful movies ever made. It was the main inspiration for my short that I did over the summer.
I still have to watch
Full Metal
that.
Jacket is. Sorry, go ahead.
I said I still have to watch your short.
It's in post right now, but it was the first big one I spent money on. And watching Barry Lyndon, I watched it at the right time because I'm like, this movie is like exactly. I'm never gonna reach this level of artistry when it comes to how a movie could like look, but I can try, right? And my favorite is actually one that, as a Kubrick fan, gets me a lot of heat, and that's Spartacus, one that nobody else has either seen or loves as much as I do, and I love Spartacus.
I haven't really
Kirk
watched
Douglas
it
is
yet.
in it.
My favorite might honestly be Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket is great. I love. And then I think my number 2 is A Clockwork Orange. I love A Clockwork Orange. It's so good. It's so inventive. It's sci-fi film, but it also feels like an auteur piece. And
where would you rank
his
Eyes Wide
movies-
Shut?
Eyes Wide Shut I really love as well.
Yeah, I thought
think
it was
it's
amazing.
around the bottom, but still I really love Eyes Wide Shut still, nonetheless. All of his movies have kind of cemented their place within pop culture. Like even Eyes Wide Shut has its place, and
if you ever see a masquerade party, you think Eyes Wide Shut.
And I think he's the best when it comes to imagery, right? When you think of all of these movies, all these strong images come to mind, whether it's the mask on the pillow in Eyes Wide Shut, or the Singing in the Rain shots in A Clockwork Orange, or The Shining, the one where Jack is, on the typewriter with that really like that face that everyone sees. And I feel like that's something that's really strong for a director, that once you think of them, you can think of those famous shots.
Or
You
open
don't
the
just think of
pod bay
movies,
doors,
but you think
Hal.
of the moments. Yeah, and he is by far, I think, my favorite director, and it's such a shame that he died before we got to see like some of what he had to offer. He died, I think, 77, 78?
Yeah, he was young.
Yeah.
Which is exactly where Spielberg is right now. So imagine if Spielberg died like right now, and we wouldn't get to see like what has in store for the couple movies he has left in his career. Martin Scorsese's in his 80s, so imagine what he could have like gotten from him if he didn't pass away that early.
So I put Kubrick as an honorable mention.
Me too. So my favorite of his is The Shining, for sure. It's also his first movie I've ever watched, and it redefined what horror is. like in my head, basically. And it's just so creepy and so eerie. I think it's the best definition for it. And it's not easy to like make grown-ups scared, and he manages to do that.
So, I put Kubrick as an honorable mention, for sure. I totally understand the number one choice. Another one that broke my heart to put out is PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah.
Absolutely love him.
How did you not put him on your list? I was 100% sure you would put him on your list.
I think when Edgar Wright came into my list, I put him at number 11.
Gotcha.
Until like maybe today, he was on my list. And then Sam Mendes is a director that I adore.
I love him.
I've seen every movie of his, and hopefully we'll watch another of his at Toronto Film Festival. Spike Lee. I've seen a lot of movies of his, and I love Jordan Peele, of course. Clint Eastwood, James Cameron, and then my last one is Alfonso Cuarón.
Got it. So my contenders that didn't make it, number one, of course, Steven Spielberg. Number two, which I was very intrigued by, especially Gal didn't have him on his list, Ridley Scott.
Yeah, so I almost put him as an honorable mention, but I don't know. Like, he's had some amazing stuff, but lately it's hit or miss with him.
Got it.
But for sure, Gladiator is amazing. Alien,
Talking about some of his
Blade Runner.
of like his modern work, I love The Martian so much.
No, The Martian's for sure. The Last Duel,
So
American Gangster was great.
So he was really close. He was like my second honorable mention. Then we talked about Damien Chazelle. He was my third. Robert Zemeckis, again, there has been some hit and miss lately, but like he directed one of my favorite movies of all time, so I'd have to.
I still think it's incredible that the same dude did Forrest Gump and Back to the Future and Castaway and Contact. So even though he's had a lesser track record, I'll give Zemeckis that credit.
Someone we just talked about, Stanley Kubrick, was also in my contenders. Someone we talked about before. Also, Alfred Hitchcock was also in my contenders. And my last one that I don't think a lot of people mention, but I think this might be wrong, but like historically, but I think he might be one of the first directors to direct a movie that was considered one of the best movies of all time for a while. Maybe, again, this is probably historically inaccurate, is Michael Curtis, who directed Casablanca.
I thought you were going to say Frank Capra.
No,
because of It's a Wonderful Life.
That would have been good. But Casablanca is one of my favorite classic movies. It's the first movie I've watched that was like from like a really old movie that I watched, like from the 40s. And I was dreading it. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so boring. So like, it's so old. Like, I'm probably not going to like it. And it's the movie that got me into classics at the end of the day. So like, I loved it so much when I watched it. And it's still one of my top 20 movies of all time. So I had to put my boy Michael Curtis up there because of that reason and that reason alone. And that's it. Those are my contenders. What about you, Helmer? Which ones did you have that we didn't talk about?
Yeah, so as well as the ones that we already mentioned, so the Coens, Nolan, Tarantino, Chazelle, right, which were basically 11 to 15. Some other ones, Paul Thomas Anderson, like we mentioned, Rob Reiner is one of my favorite directors.
Rob Reiner.
Stand By Me, one of my favorite movies of all time. And all of his movies are very different as well.
Yeah, A Few Good Men, Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah,
very rich and diverse filmography.
He's great. He's great.
He's like the type of director where the more you think about him, the more good he gets. You know what I mean? Like Gall just did it. Like when you think about the more movies he's made, you're like, oh shit, this guy is like so versatile. Milos Forman, who directed One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Amadeus, which are both masterpieces. David Lean, who did Lawrence of Arabia, and then Ryan Johnson, who is slowly making his way up my ladder.
He's so good.
Directors.
I love this guy. He would be on my top 20 maybe.
Star Wars fans be damned, even though I am a Star Wars fan. I loved Last Jedi.
I'm a Last Jedi fan. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we have 3 Last Jedi guys here, so we're good. People are gonna murder in the comments.
And then Looper is
people
great.
watch this.
Looper's great.
I really love Looper.
Also, Brick was like his first movie.
I actually didn't like Brick. That's the one I
Really?
didn't like. But I gave him a pass because it's his first movie. That's like one of my most unpopular opinions that I really hate. I didn't even finish Brick. I thought it was so bad.
I thought it was great, but I mean, I think he's slowly becoming
me.
a name. I think also because of Knives Out gave him a bit of like bankability, and of course Star Wars.
I'm
like
so excited for Knives Out too. Like that man. Like,
speaking of Knives
no,
Out too.
we're not speaking
We got
about it.
tickets
We're not
today.
talking about it. We're not talking about it anymore.
You brought it up.
I was talking about a director. Excuse me. Not talking about that film festival that doesn't exist. It's been canceled because of COVID-21. In my head.
You just witnessed PTSD.
What happened to 20?
We skipped it. It's so strong, the new one, we had to skip it.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Good
I
year
don't
for
think
Murder
Amsterdam's
Mysteries
a murder
2022.
mystery, but I was, but okay, sure.
Yeah, it's like a fun like side genre that I enjoy, you know? Like yeah.
The
Murder
whodunit, I
mysteries are
guess.
making-
The
Whodunit.
whodunit. The whodunit.
That's
yeah.
what we mean. Not
Yeah, the whodunit.
Murder Mystery. There's like one every week on Netflix.
Yeah, that's to be fair, the actual movie Murder Mystery is not that bad.
I
Okay.
did not think it was that bad either. I agree.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It's not the worst Adam Sandler movie, but like
And I love my
I don't
girl
think it was
Jen
like.
Aniston.
I like Hubie Halloween too. So
I haven't seen it.
I
but
haven't
I don't
seen
want
it
to
either.
because I saw the trailer and he's like, I'm
if you
Huey,
like
and I'm like,
Murder
no.
Mystery, you will love Hubie Halloween. It is a delight.
Okay. So our recording is running out, so I guess I'll
I
let
think we need to wrap up.
I'll let Helmer go. Helmer, thank you so much for joining us. This was
No
a blast.
problem. It was a blast. Thank you guys for having me. It was fun, and you guys have given me a lot of movies and directors to kind of delve myself into.
Right back
So,
at you. Like
thank
you
you.
gave me so much for my classics list
Thanks.
that I have to watch.
I'm gonna like listen
shit.
back on this episode every time I need to go back into classic
I
movies.
hate giving people long watch lists because I know I hate when people give it to me. But
No, but it's
Thank
a
you
good
again.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
sure.
So thank you for joining us. Where can people find you?
So the League of Cinephiles, both on Instagram and on YouTube. So follow and subscribe to us there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Helmer. Have a good one. Thank you so much for joining
You
us.
too.
We'll see you soon,
No problem.
for sure. Thanks, man.
Bye.
And that's a wrap on season 2 of Film Fanatics. So thank you guys for sticking around for so long, and hope you guys agreed with a lot of our favorite directors. I'm sure a lot of you had Tarantino and hopefully Spielberg up there, but you know how it is. So yeah, we'll be back in a month or two with season
month.
3.
1 month.
A lot of big ideas coming up, and hopefully a lot more amazing guests and listeners.
Remember to follow us at Film Fanatics Pod on Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alan.
And I'm Gal. See you guys soon.